Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on homeopathy with our beloved Dr. Pachegaonkar. Namaste, sir. You know, we've heard so many things, good and bad perhaps, about COVID and all of these problems that have harassed the world for 2 years. And now we have monkeypox. Would you talk to us about that, sir?
Like other pox diseases, monkeypox is one variety. It's a DNA virus. It's contagious and it affects all ages. Any intimate contact with the infected person will definitely spread it.
Intimate means touch of the skin or
Touch of the
anything?
skin, or if suppose the infected person uses one towel and that towel is used by someone else, that also can carry. So it can be direct touch or indirectly like this. But for a while the person is having infection, maybe for 8 days to 10 days or 15 days till the eruptions are there, because this monkeypox virus, it's very common in some people who have good immunity. It can just pass through as a subclinical. The person, even if he is infected, may not develop the disease, and just it will pass through subclinical phase where the person may infect if the discharges of the person are contracted by someone else, may get it. It's again not known, but mainly the eruptive vesicular rashes on the body, they are supposed to be the main focus of infection. That's the source of infection for spreading. See, this as a typical pox virus, it develops fever, rashes on the body, headache, malaise, body ache, and it's self-limiting. It recedes by itself. So if the person doesn't have comorbidity or the immunity is not compromised, in that case the person runs through this type of course and develops immunity and recovers.
So, no vaccination necessary?
It's a difficult area to call,
Yeah.
but it is not necessary that for every person to get immunity, one should be vaccinated. Or a person can contract it, go through the disease phenomena for a while, and then develop immunity. It is as good as vaccination. But some people, they recommend vaccination for different reasons. They feel that the person who has immunocompromise, and that person may not be efficiently developing antibodies against this, and therefore if that person is vaccinated, vaccination is always like low, like attenuated disease they introduce, which will help the individual to develop antibodies, because it is an artificial disease created, will develop antibodies, and then in turn when one gets natural disease efficiently, the person will develop antibodies, similar like smallpox vaccination. But somehow, even during smallpox vaccination also, when smallpox was very much rampant, it was worse than this COVID smallpox. Children used to lose eyesight and they used to succumb, and especially it used to attack children at tender age, and it used to be, fatality was very much high that time, and there was mass vaccination at that level. Now also there is hypothesis that just a sort of a mutation, similar virus it is, similar virus, similar to smallpox, every character is similar, but because people have been vaccinated, or we can call it, people developed herd immunity against smallpox, so that
Yes.
was not significant infection for many years. And now these monkeypox cases have been cropping up, especially some European countries. They have so many cases of monkeypox coming up. Even in India also, we are getting last 15 days cases. Of course, there is not much testing against it. Like there are not labs which are equipped to test for monkeypox. But all these cases which we have come across here in India, they are not showing a fatalities or very grave symptoms. But people are scared because we are not sure that how fast it can spread, how easily. Because hypothetically, even droplets, we are not sure whether it can become a airborne if we are in an intimate contact with the infected person. But clinically, or as experience shows, that little intimate contact is necessary for the spread of it. The person will develop mild symptoms of malaise and headache and fever and develop rashes. Rashes will turn into vesicles, which will form some scabs like material, and then they will be healing. So it may take about 2 to 3 weeks to heal the person. Until the rashes or eruptions are healed, the person is good source of spreading of this infection. So we recommend isolation of the person so that the spread at least is checked. But one need not be scared, because see, these acute illnesses from childhood, if the person goes on getting in a sublethal form, if we get infected, we develop our immunity, and an immune system gets trained against it. So I don't think there is a scare about it. One should be scared about it.
What about natural immunity in healthy children?
Oh, exactly. This monkeypox is known to infect a child, and child, even without developing any grave symptoms, comes out of it, develops antibodies and comes out of it. This happens with any viral disease, but only there are certain precautions one has to take. See, in general, any viral infection, the white blood count comes down. There, the always the immunity is very low when you are infected with the virus. So the child has to be in low profile, shouldn't be exposed to other infections that time. So isolation is not for just avoiding spreading, but because the child that time is vulnerable for catching other infections. So if we take care that the child is isolated, doesn't come in contact with any other infections, and ample of hydration is properly maintained, child is given lot of fluids and all rest, doesn't need any medicine. The own immunity will definitely develop antibodies against it. As I told you, in some children, so it may just be subclinical infection. Child will just develop immunity, like we have seen it in even polio virus, that hardly 1 or 2% people develop some fever or something. Otherwise, they just go in subclinical stage, they develop immunity against it, and they don't require any measure of treatment.
I know this is a difficult question, but because of data, but how would you compare these various things? Chickenpox, smallpox, monkeypox, going on and on.
See, the menace of smallpox we have just heard in the medical records, because when I graduated, before that, the smallpox cases disappeared even from India. There were no cases reported in India also, and the medical fraternity claimed that we have eradicated smallpox. But we know that these infections come in a different form. So we can't say whether this is more lethal or that is more lethal. All these infections, much depends upon the original health of the host person. So we can't say which is grave or which is not grave for the person. If the person has comorbidities or other diseases, or if someone is affected by this monkeypox or measles or chickenpox, one becomes vulnerable for other infections. Rather, Narad, you will be surprised to know that these measles or chickenpox or even smallpox, there are many chronic ailments which got cured because of the acute crisis developed by these ailments.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we have. We have cases where people they recovered after having smallpox or measles or chickenpox. Even Hahnemann has cited all this. That because in acute illnesses there is an acute crisis in the system, and when acute crisis is what we say stimulated, many other chronic diseases get cured. This is known phenomena, the crisis, even natural crisis in the form of pregnancy. If the female has gone through pregnancy, there are incidences where chronic ailments like rheumatoid arthritis and all get cured with the incidence of pregnancy. So, these acute infections can be an acute crisis for the individual, which may be beneficial even beneficial. That's why in India, in villages, if the child gets measles in early childhood, they used to welcome so that it develops immunity for the future. And we have seen the individuals who are getting these mumps, especially like mumps.
Mumps, yes.
In childhood, if the before adolescence, if the child gets mumps infection, it can get cured without any sequelae. But during adolescence or after adolescence, attaining adolescence, if the person gets mumps, if it is a female, ovaries will be affected. If it is a male, testicles will be affected. So the disease is known to migrate to more important organs if it is not cured properly. But as a child, if person develops mumps, measles and chickenpox infection, child easily recovers. So we can't say which is grave and which is a simple infection, but much depends upon the host. Same measles, chickenpox. If person gets at the elder age, it's really difficult to overcome it. But as a child, it will be just easy thing to come. It doesn't require any treatment. Just rest, isolation, so that like child is not vulnerable to catch other infections. It cures by itself. They are all self-limiting illnesses. So same is the case with monkeypox.
From your experience, how quickly is monkeypox spreading?
I don't think. See, as we consider that there has to be so many factors, to for the incidence of this type of epidemic, monkeypox and all. It has to be a dynamic phenomena in like we can call the whole environment in the universe has to be favorable for these epidemics. Without that, they won't surface. It's fine, like some it got transmitted from monkey to the human being once. It's fine, but there has to be some vacuum in our universal environment, or what we. That's why we call it's always a dynamic phenomena, which causes it. It can't be just a virus, because for mutation of this virus or surfacing of this virus, you need some favorable background to thrive it. Viruses have been there, it's not a new thing. But why this has surfaced now to cause the disease? Now in Delhi, we have a case where the person was not exposed anywhere. He had not gone out of India and he got monkeypox, and it was a positive case. So the medical fraternity couldn't explain from where he got the infection. So it's like this. So there are so many factors which are responsible for occurrence of this epidemic. Not virus is something which is just a vector, which is again a vector.
Yes.
It's all a dynamic influence which is causing sickness.
Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.